Thank you to everybody here for the gift of your time. My name is Josh Speros. Background a little bit to give that, I'm a chemist by training. It's a pretty common way to find yourself at the world's largest chemical company, and I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. But I also wanted to just check in and hope everyone's doing okay with the context switching. These days are always really exciting and really cool stuff, but I always find myself struggling to keep up. So I'm going to keep it simple and try and give you some facts and keep it in the vein of sustainability and what BASF is doing there. I actually think I was invited to some extent because by definition, we as a company are not very decentralized. We're actually quite centralized. But I think still it was really exciting to hear a lot of opportunities that might exist for us or different ways of thinking. I'm with BASF Venture Capital, the corporate venture capital arm of BASF. I'm not going to say too much about our fund, except that we've been around since 2001. We're a $250 million evergreen fund. We're writing $1 to $5 million checks into the seed through Series B range. But again, I want to really focus a little bit more on broader BASF to help give people some perspective from a big centralized company. So we are celebrating our 159th birthday this year. So definitely, I won't say old, but I will say a traditional company in many ways. 110,000 employees globally across 11 divisions. But our mission is really to create chemistry for a sustainable future. And anymore, I would say sustainability, and that being kind of the subtopic of this panel, is really table stakes for BASF anymore. Every single employee is asked or tasked with how do they bring sustainability to their job, to their products, to their customer every day. So if you think about where we're heading in terms of sustainability in manufacturing, it's important to think of where we are, and that's in the context of what we call Verbund. Verbund is, pardon my terrible German pronunciation, it's really a word that means integrated. So there are several facilities at BASF that are our Verbund facilities that are highly tied together, where waste product from one facility feeds into the feedstock pipes of another plant, or you take heat from there and you move it over here. Why do you do that? Because if you do that, you can really drive your operational costs really low. You can make your efficiencies high. And it's really a good way to deliver high quality product at very low cost, but really relies heavily on being centralized. If I think about where we're trying to go in that context, we want to be net zero by 2050. Obviously, a lot of people have net zero goals by 2050. We want to be net zero in scope 1, scope 2, and also scope 3.1. Which was recently announced. And we're not too bad at doing this historically. If you look from 1990 to now, BASF has reduced its greenhouse gas emissions by about 60%, which is pretty impressive because we've also tripled our production output. But the reality is we're at the limit of what, let's say, classical chemical engineering can do. There's no more optimizing that can really be done, and it's time for new ideas. And what are some of those new ideas? A simple one, we're all chemists, so we start with how do we measure things. And what we've done is we've measured the product carbon footprint for every one of our 45,000 products. We've done this to the extent now that it's an industry standard, and we even make that tool, which we call Scott, available to our customers and partners. What else are we doing? We're procuring renewable energy. That's not so sexy, except that we're doing that in an effort to also fuel electrically driven reactors. So rather than heating reactors with steam or just through thermally with combustion of fossil fuels, we're now looking to take renewable energy and develop reactor concepts where we essentially resistively heat reactors. To give you a sense, if we were to do that, I believe we can reduce BASF's greenhouse gas emissions by another 80% simply by electrifying our reactors with renewable energy. Beyond that, one thing we do is biomass balance. It's a carbon accounting principle where we use biofeedstock and trace that biofeedstock through BASF's value chain and pass that, let's say that carbon offset on to our customers. And then one thing I want to stop on before I finish up with my 5 minutes is we're also working really hard on circularizing some of our supply chains where it makes sense. We're building black mass recycling capabilities in Germany. We have a pretty exciting, maybe not exciting to you, but I'm a polymer chemist, so exciting to me. We're doing mattress recycling. So there's actually a lot of polyurethane foam mattresses out there, and it's one of these industries where you're actually in a position to get that mattress back from the consumer and recover the value from that material. Also, you all tend to pay a lot of money for your mattresses, so there's some economics that work out in our favor. Another one that we're working to circularize is textiles. So we've had a pretty recent announcement with Inditex and have launched some interesting polyamide products with Zara. Last but not least, I'd say was mentioned in some of the earlier conversations, we are engaging with government, just like big companies do this too. We recently in the U.S. won a $75 million DOE grant to make low carbon syngas in our Gulf Coast facilities. So what I'm going to leave you with is that we're a heavily centralized company. I think in many ways that's worked to our advantage. I think there are opportunities for us to decentralize. That's hard. So I'm going to leave a call to action to the people that are thinking about doing that. Please keep doing that. Please keep telling me that you're doing that. And hopefully we can convince people, hopefully convince our fund to invest in you, and everybody's happy. So with that, thank you very much, and I will turn it over to the next speaker.